Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com nightly wrap-up show. Hope everybody is doing well. No video last night. My daughter's high school basketball season started. Turned out to be a success. 5 girls scored in double digits. My daughter shot very, very well. Yada, yada, yada. I'm very proud dad. For the rest of you guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If you can be so kind and click a like on the video, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff, and I will be appreciated, right? Thank you very much for joining in. So I'm trying to find a way, I was in the gym and I was trying to get my thoughts together of how to start this video. And I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible. I think from the human aspect of it. If you've been watching the video, this broadcast, the last, let's just say 5 videos, doesn't have to be even longer than that. We talked about the notion of buying stocks where not even they're on the 12th floor, they're on the 212th floor. You know, we talked about everything being super duper out there, right? Tesla going up, from what, 345 to almost 490. I mean, everything was gone. Microsoft, Amazon, and I kept on reiterating the point literally on pretty much every video, the last 5 videos. If I'm going to be wrong, right? If I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong from the first floor, because if you're wrong from the first floor, you're going to have a skin knee, right? Some bumps and bruises. If you're wrong from the 12th floor or the 212th floor, it's a good chance you're not going to make it. And, if you've been trading for a long time, and again, 2.5 decades here, right? It's not like it's my first rodeo. And we've discussed this in numerous videos. The biggest fear coming into a market that was so overly hyped, right? All asset classes, crypto, stocks, whatever the case may be. The biggest fear was you knew, right? You knew, and again, this is not the first time I'm saying it. You knew a 3% decline was coming. You knew. The only question was when, right? Obviously, I didn't have a crystal ball, but the game plan was obviously to leave the stocks that were completely in Jupiter, right? And concentrate on the ones that are coming out of the ranges. That's kind of what we've been kind of focusing on for the last several level days, because the last thing that we wanted to do, and again, going back to previous broadcasts, is being in a position, and unfortunately, a lot of new traders got caught. They basically gave back 2-3 months worth of performance in one candle, right? In one candle. And today was, the Fed day. 25 basis point cut was on the table. That got confirmed. The problem is, I'm kind of reading from this. From the Fed minutes here, looks like indications are going to be fewer and less aggressive reductions ahead for 2025. Obviously, the market did not like that. And when everything was said and done, 3% declines pretty much all across the board. NASDAQ down 3.5%, S&P down 3%, and the Dow, which already couldn't get out of its own way, down another 1,100 points, or a little more than 2.5%. So for all of us in the webinar, as we know, we were all prepared for this. Okay, we were all prepared for this. Whether you caught this sell-off or not, that's a different story. A lot of people left for the day. But the point is, this is something that now you can put in your experience Rolodex, right? And I've said, unless you've been around the sun for a bull market, bear market, distribution market, some sort of geopolitical effect, numerous wars, this, that, and the third, you can't really have an understanding and really appreciate everything. But now you went through this, right? You went through this. And whether you kind of listened to what I was saying for the last 4 or 5 broadcasts, or just like whatever, bro. Right? That's up to you, right? That's up to you. But what's done is done. You can't take it back. Obviously, for all you guys who caught the sell-off today, there were two major pivots today. We'll get to them in a second. But the thing will kind of led up to this, right? Kind of what led up to the sell-off was, if you guys remember, a lot of these names, even though they weren't selling off, they stopped rallying, right? They stopped rallying. The chips, the semiconductors, they just couldn't rally. Ironically, today they woke up. Ironically, right? Ironically, at one point, NVIDIA looked great today, right? Absolutely great today. NVIDIA was up like $4.50. Even AMD woke up, and you're like, well, if Micron comes out with good numbers, and they were coming for the 120s, the 130s on Micron. Hey, maybe the semiconductors can join the party. And unfortunately, Micron came out with the wrong day to come out with earnings. Again, I don't think anything would have saved the semis or everything after the close. Micron getting shelled here, down about 13 points after the close. Everything is getting killed. And the question is, well, what happens next, right? What happens next? It's a good question, right? It's a very, very good question. Every stock today got pulled significantly lower today. Okay, significantly lower. If you didn't know your levels, you had a very, very hard time this afternoon. And I've always maintained the premise going into every video, right? Even if it's for the general audience. Obviously, we break things down very specifically into specific prices and specific levels in the webinar. But even to the general public, when you hear me do a broadcast, especially in the nightly video, I always maintain this fact. I'm not trying to be right. Okay, I'm not trying to be right. Believe me, like I've been saying, even though I'm waiting for this pull, I'm waiting for this pull, I'm waiting for this pull. Even me, I wanted this market to continue for another 50 years. How aggressive it was. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But my point is, for me, it's not about being right. Right? I think everybody knew this pull was inevitable. For me, it's the point of being prepared. That's it. Being prepared. Even if your channels don't confirm today, right? Tomorrow, whatever the case may be, know your levels, right? Because if you know your levels, your predefined risk is on the table. You're not sitting there like a deer in headlights. You're not sitting there hoping and praying to some market gods that your account gets saved. And, oh my God, what did I do? Now I hope the stock comes back later. You want to avoid that. And again, unfortunately, the biggest lesson, right? The biggest lesson is always experience. This has happened to me. We talked about this last week. This happened to me so many times on a euphoric market. And again, like I said, they don't tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, by the way, we're going to pull everything. They're just going to do it, right? They're just going to do it. And the market really didn't need a reason. They got a reason from Jerome Powell. And when you're in orbit, right? When you're absolutely in orbit, all it takes is one little drop of fuel and you have a tower inferno. And that's exactly what happened today. And if you look at the pivots, again, we were prepared for the day, man. We really were. We were prepared for the day, to the upside, to the downside. But this is kind of how you knew, and you started seeing clues how the market was really, really getting heavy. And it wasn't today, right? The clues were yesterday. Yesterday, we had a pivot on Google, right? And Google went up from 99 to 201. Sounds good, right? Everything's fine. The stock went down to 193, gave everything up. Pan W, remember from the previous video, we were saying, hey, watch Pan W, watch Pan W. Pan W goes up $2, goes red. So we already knew, well, wait a minute, there's enough juice to give these stocks a little bit of cash flow, but there's not enough juice, right? There's not enough juice because it looks like the buyers are very apprehensive. And we saw that again this morning, right? MU, 111.13 needs to build, reports after hours. It gets above 111.13, goes only up $1. That's it. Goes only up $1 and sells off 3. Okay. AUR, again, another really good looking chart. And if this was a week ago, the stock would have worked. It goes from 815, right? 815 to 844. The stock goes red. We'll get to Tesla in a second. We'll get to Meta in a second, right? And all these other names just didn't confirm. Snow didn't confirm. LRCX didn't confirm. Shopify didn't confirm. None of them confirmed. GameStop didn't confirm. There was a pivot here to the upside on Tesla initially in the morning, went up about 10. But that's not here nor there. That's not the point, right? That's not the point. The point is, once you started seeing stocks getting heavy, right? Really, really heavy, that's when you got your antennas up. And I've always said, and I've been hammering this point home to the people in the webinar for years. This is 15 years I've been hosting this webinar. And the one thing I've been saying is there's no possible way in hell a stock can ever go up if it doesn't take out the previous day's highs. And there's no possible way in any green earth or any, solar system out there that a stock is going to go lower. It could go down, but it won't go lower unless it loses the previous day's lows and confirms the previous day's channels. That's exactly what happened. So here was Tesla, right? Here was Tesla. Gone through my head for the last couple of days, 500, sure. It got up to, got up to 488, right? Huge move, absolutely huge move from 345 to 488. I was saying for the last couple of days, I go, people just don't know when they won. They just don't, right? It's the Powerball mentality. They don't know when when they won. They just want more. They want more. They want more. Again, all you have to do is go back to these videos. We've been talking about these scenarios for this potential pull for 5 days, for the last week. But Tesla finally lost its range, right? It finally lost its previous day's low, 450, 750. If it builds below, can flush. Tesla flushed. I mean, everything flushed, right? Everything flushed. But the reason why it was 450, 750, that was the previous low, right, guys? That's the whole point. That was the previous low. You see on the way up, it never took out the previous day's low. Higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, over and over and over and over. And then finally today took out 457. The stock right now is trading below 430. Meta, right? Meta was the other one. Right here, right? Meta 616.50 has held 3 times, right? 3 times. If it builds below, can flush, right? Here was Meta. And again, you don't need to be, the greatest chartist in the world, but you can see here 3 times, right? On the 10-day moving average, held 3 times, 616, 616, 616. Well, what happened? It finally lost the whole range here, and the stock got absolutely murdered. Went all the way down to the 597 level is where it's trading right now. So now that everything is done, right, whether you made money on this move and unfortunately gave up some gains on this move, what's done is done, okay? The past is the past. We don't live there, we don't live there anymore. We learn from our experiences. We share our experiences. And the most important thing is you learn, you appreciate, and you move on. So the question is, what happens next? Obviously, I would love to see a little bit of a dead cat bounce tomorrow at the open, because not to go long, because if that dead cat bounce tomorrow morning gets swallowed up and we start losing today's ranges, we might have a day 2, right? We might have a day 2. Like for me, there's no value to the upside tomorrow. Even if there's a dead cat bounce and everything rallies 5, 10 points, it'll be a scalping area. We'll always find some ranges to scalp. But the value for tomorrow, from the trading aspect, I'm not talking about anything else. I'm not talking about what a stock is going to do 3 years from now, 3 months from now. Strictly from the trading aspect, the value tomorrow is to the downside. So my point is, if Qs start losing, right? You see the Qs, the lows of the Qs today, 515, right? If the Qs start losing 515 tomorrow, we're going to have more selling. The real area of interest is going to be, you see this whole 34-day EMA, this red line, how it keeps on bouncing off the red line, right? I want to see what happens tomorrow. I think it's going to test and probably hold the 34 EMA plus. The question is, what happens if it starts losing it, right? What happens if we lose 515 on the close, especially 513 on the close? Then things become very, very spicy. So anything that had a really, really big run tomorrow, I'm watching for potential day 2. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen, but my point is, my point is on every video. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be prepared. So I'm watching Amazon, right? I'm watching Microsoft. I'm watching Tesla. Okay. And then again, there's a million stocks like this, right? There's literally a million names like this that you can be watching, but this is the group that I trade. This is the group that I'm comfortable with. And this is the group that I kind of know what to expect. So I'm not, chasing, rainbows and sipping on Kool-Aid. So again, guys, the worst and the best teacher is experience, okay, is time. And unfortunately, if you don't have someone in your corner that basically could give you the playbook, right? Give you the playbook, give you, what to expect because they've never expected it. They've never went through it. Well, then you're going to unfortunately learn from your mistakes as well. So hopefully all you guys did well on the sell-off. Hopefully you guys kind of listened to what I've been saying for the last 5 days. Again, I'm not happy about being right. It's not about being right. It's to be prepared. Guys, God bless everybody. Stay safe. Tomorrow's another day. Have a great session tomorrow. And with God's help, I'll see you on the field tomorrow. Take care.